That's right. We're back here at Conquer the Cave. Doe here, along with special guest caster this week. It's Munstar. That's right. You and I just did a video recently talking about the competitive meta, and it just so happened that it worked out this weekend for you to jump on and cast Conquer the Cave as well. So happy to have you here. You were just telling me this will be your first casting experience. Is that right?
Yeah, it is. I've never casted anything before. I've seen like people stream games and we've done like little commentaries here and there with like little friend groups, but I've never actually been able to be the one casting. So this is really exciting. So I'm happy to be here.
All right, yeah, I think it'll be a ton of fun to get your insight on the two players, and I'm excited about this one too because we've got StruckAnywhere, who is our returning champion here on the Conquer the Cave show, versus Joe D, who was the only Poe to day 2 in the Minneapolis Regional. So arguably the best Poe in the nation right now by results, I guess you could say. But a really great player. He and I had a great conversation that's also on the channel about his deck and about his run. And he's brought that deck to Conquer the Cave this week. So let's check out our lists here. We've got, first of all, our reigning champ, StruckAnywhere, bringing Han2 Data Vault. I suppose I should specify here. What do you think about the state of Han2 in the meta? Because I've been seeing some greens, I've been seeing some blues pop up. What do you think?
Yeah, Han2 Data Vault is just such a great deck. It presents a couple different like fields. It can be very aggressive if it wants to be, but it also has the opportunity to kind of grab a lot of cards in its hand with like the Rebel package, and then it's able to be a bit more control-y when you see units like Red 5 also out there. So I think it has a lot of avenues that it can go into, which is just makes it a very flexible deck, which is really good into a wide open meta.
Yeah, looking at this list, I love how we're starting to see more and more of like Fell the Dragon being included in this list. It seems like this is the hero and aspect combination where people are like, you know what, I can pay 6 for this if I need to, and I think it's legitimate to throw that in there, especially with some of the larger ships out there before they end up having leader pilots on them, things like that, or just some big stuff on the ground too. But I want to get your impression of the 3 Cam Syndulla main deck. He's a big body, if nothing else. Maybe that's the biggest reason he's in there. But it's interesting to see him main deck versus sideboard. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think being able to keep up the tempo versus some of the ramp decks such as like Kira, I think that's really really strong. So you don't fall behind where they're playing Vader and you're playing, even though Han 2 cheats out units, you want to be able to put value on the board just as fast as they get value on the board. So I think that's really really strong. So I
Yeah.
like Cham in the main board.
Well, you and I were just talking too on that other video about how Data Vault sort of lets you have an extra sideboard to a certain extent. You have kind of the luxury of putting some extra tech cards in the main board that you wouldn't otherwise. And I would wager if this was a 50 card version of it, Cam Syndulla would probably not make the cut. He'd probably be in a sideboard thing. But that's interesting. Let's take a look at the challenger here. It is none other than Post Richmond set 4 Poe. So slightly adjusted, I've heard, from the deck that he did well in. Maybe it was Richmond. I thought it was Minneapolis, but I could have gotten that wrong. Either way, very successful Poe. And I like this list a lot. I'm glad that he's sticking with Eject. I know a lot of people went off of Eject on Poe for a while, but having played the leader and a list similar to this a lot, I love Eject. Nobody ever expects it, and you can just gain such a huge advantage when it works. A couple timelies in there as well. The thing that kind of surprises me more than anything in this list is the 2 General's Blades, which is an interesting thing to drop on one of your smaller units and kind of put some pressure on the ground that they might be not expecting. But obviously you're not going to get the benefit from the blade, but it is a good amount of stats too. It's kind of like a mini Dark Blade in a way, Dark Saber.
Right, yeah. That's really interesting having General's Blade in this deck, considering, you would think it's going to be a vehicle ship piloting deck. That's really interesting.
Yeah, the more successful Poes, I feel like recently, have been shifting into a list that can do well on the ground as much as it can in the air. And part of that is the eject package allowing you to put Poe on the ground earlier and then still be able to deploy him later because eject doesn't use your epic action, obviously. But then, making Poe more like Sabine, which sounds like a disservice to Poe, but it's just a great way to play the color combination in the game, So I think we see a lot more of this lately from Poes. My recent Poe list is even named Pobeen Dameren with like WREN at the end because it's just saying, hey, I want to have all the trickiness and shenanigans that Poe can offer, but I don't want to lose the core strength that Sabine's list offers, you know? But I think it should be interesting. It's a clash of red-green heroism, so we'll see how it goes. I'm ready to get in the game. How about you?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention I
Oh,
like the
yeah.
sideboard. I like Bombing Run and Radis a whole lot. That's very two amazing cards in the current meta, so I think that's really good.
Well, I
It's
know you
interesting.
especially are a big Radis enjoyer, so
I am.
it's cool to see it in there. We'll see if it gets sideboarded in as the game goes on. But let's get things started here. As we see on the left side of the screen, StruckAnywhere using Han2 Data Vault. And on the right side of your screen, you've got Joe D with the Energy Conversion Lab with Poe Dameron and the nice Poe showcase there as well. Looks like the players have already resourced the first two resources. Didn't get to see if the mulligan happened or not, but there's a Resistance X-Wing getting thrown down first of all. And I think that's a solid throw. It's a little bit on the weaker side, but again, if you can get Poe on it, get to live, you're in decent shape. Oh, but there's a blue leader right away with the
Immediate
trade.
Okay, wow.
Yeah. And that's what Han wants, right? He doesn't mind that because he can just keep throwing out value.
Right. I think he like the Han2 deck kind of understands that if it's a bit more controlly early game, its late game bombs might be too much for Poe to handle.
Yeah, I think that's exactly the game plan you're going to have in a lot of cases. And, you know, you're like, all right, I'm fine with essentially the game starting on resource turn 3, especially if Poe can't have, doesn't have anything to deploy on, you know? So what's the response going to be? Phoenix Squadron A-Wing. And so, you know, another thing that can get, you know, attacked into. Obviously, the Han list runs some removal too in red. We'll see. Oh, Echo Base, all right. No Han ability needed.
And this is where we see Poe actually come pilot here, and then now we're presenting a threat on the board.
Yeah, exactly. Initiative claimed. And I think, you know, if you have that one resource out, you always throw Poe on the ship, right? Because what's the worst that could happen, right? It's better to spend the resource the turn before and then put the onus on them to remove it. Because then if you don't, you get that big swing. I think you'll see a lot of Poes doing that as their last action.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. I'm just interested to see when that ECL is also going to come into play.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of times you end up as we see the big swing with the Poe plus the Phoenix Squadron A-Wing for 5 on the base. In my experience anyway, it feels like the ECL ends up being used a lot, like it is in the Sabine list, where it's the Poe ground unit that gets ECL'd a lot. Wrecker if it goes really late. But you know, if you need to get rid of a ship in a hurry, it's not bad in the air too. And ooh, there's the Leia thrown down. Okay, so a little bit of a ground presence from
Right.
Joe.
I'm very surprised on the bounce to the Echo Base Defender. I feel like you know that 4 damage presenting every single turn to an ECL base is quite threatening, but maybe there's another player seeing come up here.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised too. I wonder if maybe the theory is, hey, I just want to stock my hand. I know he can probably remove it, and this is a way where I can just keep focusing on taking out his removable or taking out his units and then saving up for a bigger, beefier late game, like you mentioned earlier. I think that was like right on the money with the Han 2 plan, you know?
Hmm.
Conserve, 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 right? Even though it's energy conversion lab. I don't know. For some reason, my brain went energy conservation lab for a second, but there's no converging here. We're just there's no conservation. It's only
Tandem
conversion.
with this rebellious hammerhead right here, which
I
is able to
like it.
actually take out the ship, probably due to the fact that he drew that extra card. Okay, there, I see the vision.
Oh yeah, yeah. There it is. That's the reason that extra card in hand made it possible. Very cool. Post sent back to the leader zone. The Leia's still on the board, so at least there's still 3 damage represented by Leia. The restore helps a little bit too. But funny enough, you know, now we've got Joe D wondering how he's going to be able to get back control of the air. But it looks like it's going to just be Poe on the ground. Why not, right?
Here comes the ECL.
Yeah, that's right. ECL. Oh, and that is going to take out the Han 2 leader immediately. That's what you save it for.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, there's the discard. And going to make StruckAnywhere discard that Echo Base Defender from hand. And it's funny, like I think that Echo Base Defender in hand paid like dividends, right? Because not only did he get more damage out of the ship, but he also had a card that was less important to discard too.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was a very Sabine-esque line, right, with the standard ECL Poe Dameron on the board, which is really good into Han, especially if they don't get their unit off first. You can take that Han off the board before they get to play a card. They might not have a turn play.
Yeah, especially. And then just the power of the Podameron 4-6 on the ground is not to be understated, right? Then you've got arguably a stronger unit than Sabine, coming down. Sure, it's a turn later, but it's like the 1-2 punch, right? So this is what I really like about some of the new Poe lists is that you can just swap between the ground and the air so fluidly, where it's like, all right, fine, you take the air, I can just go all in on the ground. And there's a Riken with the temporary Sentinel. Yeah, I like that. But that Sentinel's not going to last forever, right? Oh, the Wrecker.
Oh, the Wrecker.
Wow. All right. Talk about everything at the right time, right?
And there's the boom.
Yep.
So 5 damage, and now he can clear it off with the Leia.
Yeah, a little bit more damage in the air from the Rebellious Hammerhead, but I think it's looking a little bit scary on the ground for StruckAnywhere right now.
Oh, I wonder if maybe if he decides to go in. Okay, he's going to go there to keep both units alive. Yeah, that makes sense.
I like that because you're going to have more opportunities to put Poe on a ship later, right? So Poe on the ground is almost a little bit of a removal event in himself, right? In that you don't mind him getting sent back to his leader's side quickly,
This damage is coming up fast. We're going to probably even have a card discarded for another 8 to base.
I don't think that would be bad. Yeah, he's going to discard the blue leader. So that tells me, Munstar, that he's just kind of giving up on the air completely this game. That he's saying, all right.
How are you going to take this ground back? I mean, maybe you can throw a Mace Windu out there, but even if it's a Windu coming down, like I'm going to get more attacks in before he even gets a chance to clear off some of these units.
Dude, I would love to see the set 1 Mace Windu. Such an underutilized card. It's so good. But 23 damage on base already for StruckAnywhere. I mean, that's lethal on board in Joe D's corner of the arena here. We'll see if he can follow through, how much of that lives to actually do the damage.
Absolutely.
But I fear for StruckAnywhere right now.
Well, maybe this is where that earlier decision to bounce the Echo Base, we saw that great line, but maybe that 4-3 on the ground could have stopped some of this damage, and then he could have bright hoped into the Poe piloted ship.
Yeah, I mean, hindsight is always 20/20, but I'm with you where it's like there's plays in the game that I call like they're too cute, right? Where they seem really clever and cool at the time, but they actually kind of set you behind long term. And that might end up falling into the category of a play that was like too cute. I loved it in the moment. I think we both liked it, but
it looked really good.
Yeah, but now it's kind of like
how things change.
Yeah, exactly.
That's got to take out the big Poe, I imagine.
Right.
Another Rebellious Hammerhead.
Yep. So gets rid of that at least, but man, that Wrecker is still going to
got
so
7,
big.
4, a 3, and that's about all his resources. So I don't know what you could have for 1, but that's looking like it's going to be all they wrote for game 1.
There's 14 damage on the board, right? Either one of these units can swing and end it next time around. So I don't know. He's got 1 resource remaining. Does he have the Green Sentinel from set 4, like the 1-cost Green Sentinel, the 2/1 or whatever? You know the one I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the little the guy from Endor.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Doesn't look like he does.
Concede.
Yeah, that's going to be us going to game 2 here. Joe D taking game 1 in style and I think really showing us the strength of this Poe. Like
that was fast.
Right? I've been saying all set long, I believe Poe can be like virtually as fast as Sabine can, but it really kind of takes one of these Poe lists that can fluidly move between air and ground. I mean, we saw little glimpses into his hand with the blue leader and stuff. Like he was prepared to stay in the air and just hammer from up top, right? But it's like with these new lists running a lot of the classic, Sabine ECL stuff, right? The ground Poe, the Wrecker, you can swap to the ground just as easily, and so I feel like we're going to get through set 4 with Poe not reaching the potential that he really had, in my opinion, but maybe I'm just a Poe Dameron deck lover. I don't know.
No, but I was just so surprised. I thought Han2 was in such a comfortable position for that game, when you're talking about that Rebellious Hammerhead play that we pointed out. Like, it looked like the board was kind of taken back, but then flipping the Poe to the ground, ECLing the Poe Dameron, and then now that was just complete blowout out at that point.
For sure. I almost feel like it was like a little bit of a God hand scenario, I feel like, for Joe.
That was perfect.
Yeah, like a 3/4 Leia established is really nice just because the body is there. The restore is nice, even if you don't get the when played. And then you go right into the Poe ECL with the leader Poe flip, and you go right into the Wrecker. Like, that's the dream right there for this list,
Right. I imagine what if there's a scenario coming up here where potentially maybe the Han2 decides to go more aggressive instead of the board controlling and really challenge that 8 less life on the base.
I don't think that'd be a bad idea. The other thing to kind of consider with Poe that uh, the one of the things that's difficult about playing into Poe is you have to think differently in that maybe sometimes you don't want to remove the ship that he's on because you don't want him to flip onto the ground as a 4/6. I mean, going back to that decision to take out the ship that Poe is on with the Rebellious Hammerhead, did that actually hurt him because he did it on resource turn 5? So then Poe could just immediately be like, all right, surprise, I'm a 4/6 on the ground now. I feel like you catch a lot of people off guard with like that type of play too.
Right. And then we knew that it would have had to go into the 2/6 Bright Hope
Mm-hmm.
versus then, as you pointed out, he just instantly became a 4 body on the ground, now presenting damage that technically wasn't presented that turn, even if the Bright Hope was taken out.
Yeah, yeah, and again, as someone who's played a ton of Poe this set, like you catch people with that all the time, where they kill your unit with Poe on it, and secretly you're like, haha, yes, thank you. You followed into my
You're
trap.
like, he's free.
That's right. You've unleashed Poe on the ground. You were afraid of Sky Poe. Well, behold, Ground Poe. Even more terrifying. As the players get ready for game number 2 here, I'm just going to skip ahead just a tiny bit in the VOD. There we go. Decks are being cut. And I think we're going to be ready to go in a second. Is that like a mouse cord going across Joe D's playmat there?
I
I'm
guess
kind of like,
so.
it's really
Maybe
thin
the
for
camcord or
mouse
something.
cord. Maybe, yeah, like headphones or something like that.
Yeah.
He can play around it. He's that skilled, I guess. Getting a little glimpse of the hand here. I can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Battlefield
Black
Marine.
one. I
Yep.
think I see a General's Blade in there.
Yeah. I feel like with this, you go for the black one first because then it's like every first turn with Poe is like, all right, I'm going to play my best thing and then see if they can remove it. And if they can, yeah, well, whatever. You expect it. And if they can't, great. I'm suddenly super ahead. And there's the turn 1 Echo-based Defender. Okay.
Yeah, which even if it does nothing, presenting a 4 attack body against ECL is strong.
Yeah, definitely. And there's that black one. There was some discussion in the Poe groups about playing like your second best play on turn 1 because it's so likely to be removed. But I think the general consensus is kind of shift to like just do the best thing, right? Put it on them to respond,
Make them have it.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, make them have it. That's a good way to say it. But, we got 4 damage potentially coming in from StruckAnywhere's side to start things off here. We'll see if he's got a response for the black one. First of all, he does have the initiative. So what's it going to be?
Maybe another blue leader.
Yeah, it could be. That'd be another good one. Especially because blue leader would survive in that case.
Oh, no, here's the aggro we were talking about. There's 6 to base.
Yeah, you called it. And I think that's not a bad idea. I mean, because now it's like, all right, now it's 33 to 19 as far as remaining health on these bases. And that, so, already StruckAnywhere has nearly double the HP that Joe D has here. But that's Poe on black one. So that's the classic combination, going to be able to go in for 5 here. Very nice. And do a damage, too. That's right. You get to do damage to a unit if Poe's your leader or a unit. So it gets to take out that Echo Base Defender.
Yeah, that's pretty huge. That Echo Base presenting 4 and only having 1 health left came back to be taken out by the black one.
Yeah. Black one unanswered ended up being a very important factor on that. That 1 damage to a unit could be pretty huge going forward here because now you've got 3/3 versus 3/3 on the ground. We'll see what StruckAnywhere's response is going to be because I believe he does have the initiative again. Seems that way.
Yeah, one card I was always interested that the Han2 never ran, but I don't know if some early list did, is I just love K2SO, man. K2SO is just such a great card, and I feel like being able to play it as a... Oh, there's a cat.
It's a cat. All right. Uh-oh.
It's very surprising.
Oh, no.
As a 4/2/3 drop that can make you discard a card or 3 damage to base if answered is just huge.
I am 100% with you. I ran it in my early versions of Han2, and I was always shocked that it fell off. I don't know. People just didn't think it was fast enough or something, maybe. There's a bright hope to block the air, this time not bouncing the ground unit, which I think that's smart. I think you need to contest,
Right, and he's just going to force a trade right there. All right.
Yep. Yeah. And I think that's the right decision for Joe D as well, where, you You can't. You've already taken 6 damage on base. You really have to
Oh,
play a little bit
there's the
safer.
Leia.
Nice. And that means that's enough to take out the Bright Hope too.
Right, that's 5. That's 6.
Yep.
So Leia gives it a +1 on. Okay, there we go.
Yeah. So +1 for a total of 6. It doesn't even need the extra damage on a unit.
We're in a really scary spot once again. I actually think that trying to answer the black 1 is going to lead to very, very bad lines like happened last game. I think that the Han2 players got to find a way to just be aggressive.
Well, here's the scary turn again, right? Where it's like you can make your choice. Do you want to get rid of the black 1 in the air and then allow Poe to, jump out on the ground? And here's the other thing too, is that if that black 1 gets an attack off in the air, then you absolutely don't remove it this turn, because then you're letting that Poe do it potentially a total of 9 damage, right? Between the 5 in the air and then the 4 on the ground when it flips. So this is where the turns against Poe become like very confusing sometimes.
Right.
And don't forget, that Leia on the ground is going to start ticking the health back up again. He already healed 1 from the Leia when played last turn, and then whenever she gets to attack, going to restore another one. StruckAnywhere, taking a long time to decide this first action.
Yeah, I imagine he has the answer for the black 1, but it's like, I don't want to do that. Seeing his options.
It doesn't feel great.
Oh, timely.
Ooh, interesting. All right, what's it going to be? I'm excited about this. Oh, it's the Syndulla.
Syndulla, just to take out the Leia and survive. Okay.
Okay.
I like that. Get a unit off the board. Be like, I'm not going to answer the black 1.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's legit, right? Because now you get to do the damage. You get a unit out, like you said. Now we get to see if Joe D has eject. Does Joe D have eject in hand? If he does, that would be just massive this turn, because then you get the Poe on the ground. Yeah, exactly.
Black 1 taking out the Cham.
Yep.
It's been so good. Oh, there it is again.
Yep. It's one of those things.
He can defeat his own upgrade on Poe and then flip him to the ground.
Totally. Yeah, that is a line that a lot of Poes do as well. Take out the Han.
That's so strong.
Yeah.
And I imagine that we're seeing he discarded a card, right? Is that?
Is he going to do it? So sometimes you avoid it. Looks like he didn't do that. I think it's
okay.
I think it's a good choice sometimes, but I think it's better when the game is closer to ending.
Closer to ending, right? To finish off, kind of. Only 10 on base, I guess.
And this tells me too, maybe he is holding out for that eject play as well, because eject lets you get the unit on the ground without using the epic action, and with destroying the upgrade, you still end up using the epic action. So I actually like the poise by Joe, because I'd be really tempted to do exactly what you just said. I'd be so tempted to just pour on the damage, but it's like it's a battle of not just like resources on the board, but resources in the deck too. It's like, do I want to blow my epic action yet? Can I just keep swinging with the black 1? If he swings again, that'll be like 15 damage to base total, and he took out a Bright Hope. Like it's huge.
Just a hammerhead.
Yeah. So I would imagine, well, which one he's going to take out?
I would probably take out the Poe Dameron. I feel like Joe D is I feel like grabbing the black 1 is a bait play. I can't lie. I've done that sometimes before too, where and it's, some people might view it a certain way, but you're kind of baiting them into the worst choice.
Right. And so he elected to do, looks like 2 damage to the Poe on the ground. So not a big hand size. And that definitely hurts. And I think Joe D kind of prioritizing making StruckAnywhere discard with the Poe ground unit for the purpose
and there's
of that.
a General's Blade.
Ooh, okay. And all the resources spent on Struck's side of the board. There is no recourse for this. Hits for 9.
Oh, and he also had another record. Not going to need it.
Yeah, he just hit him for like 10 damage, I believe that was.
26 to base. Man, that Poe deck, this is what you're talking about. It's so fast.
Yeah. I've been a big believer in Poe Dameron for a long time now, even coming into this set. I put him and Set 4 Vader as my 2 S tier leaders in the tier list last set. And Poe didn't make that impact competitively, but I still believe he probably could have with the right pilots and the right lists. I think Joe D is a great example.
Poe.
Yeah, for sure.
immediately. And then even if you do, then they get the black one in, and they maybe have they run Cassian Andor, right? So then you present Cassian Andor, which would be lethal
Oh, for sure.
if that's happening. Oh, another timely. Okay.
Okay. What's it gonna be? Spinning 5. It's his own Poe.
Oh, his own Poe. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
he can pop the upgrade, do the 2 damage, take nothing back. We have to lose 2 cards, right?
Right. Right. I think establishing that 6/6 on board might be really important, though.
Yeah, to try and get the board back at some point, but
Yeah. Did he
I'm
have
still
enough cards
fearful.
in hand to even do that? That's what I'm wondering.
Oh, maybe not if he only had, what, 2 when he did the Hammerhead play.
Yeah, I'm wondering if he even has 2 cards to discard.
And considering he used the timely from his hand both
Uh-huh.
times, yeah.
Looks like he did. Okay, he gets rid of the so it looks like he did 2 damage to the black 3 maybe? Yeah, cuz
Right.
that would have killed it. Yep.
But
Well,
now this is still the line of Poe plus Cassian Andor wins the game.
right. Or does he have a second General's Blade? looks
Oh,
like
there's
the
the
answer is no.
4.
Yeah. No resources sent or spent rather on Joe's side yet.
And it's
Oh,
yeah, there
there
it
it is.
is.
Yeah, there it is. All right. And that's going to be exact lethal coming from Joe D.
Sheesh.
Wow, what a set of games. That was short and sweet for our Poe player. Joe D is
Yeah,
the
that
new Conquer the Cave.
congrats to Joe D. Obviously, he brought Poe Dameron to the regional, did fantastic, made day 2. Well, that's probably where he got his Poe showcase from, I imagine.
Yeah.
Uh, and this guy just looks like such a fantastic player. He played that extremely well. Man, even that game 1, we thought the Han2 was in a great spot, and it just flipped around in 1 second. Poe went on the ground. Oh, he did put in the Radis.
Okay, I like it. I
Love
like
that.
it.
It didn't need it, but he was like, you take the board back, man. I just throw the Radis down and
Felt good. I mean,
cool.
to knowing you had it, let's go back to us on camera here as we wrap things up. But yeah, what a great series. I mean, not so great for our current champion StruckAnywhere, but I think it was fun to see like the power that the Poe deck can present. And it's not like StruckAnywhere didn't do what he could, right? I think he had the right idea to try to go more aggressive in game number 2. But man, like the pressure that the Poe can put on you is just so insane. And then the way that he can sort of flip from the ground to space, even the leader is kind of made to flip space to ground, and be very evasive and give you just like a ton of different options as the player to how you want to hit your opponent. It's tough to play into because there's just a lot of interesting things you have to think about that you don't have to think about in other matchups.
Right. I know Han2 struggles a lot into pilot decks, let alone one pilot that can just keep coming back and forth every single turn and
Yeah.
then just flip to the other ground. So that it looked like, for our Han2 player, everything was done kind of the right way, and it just seemed like a very, very rough matchup.
Yeah, I agree. I'm really curious to see how Poe is going to, or how Joe rather is going to do in coming weeks. I hope he stays on Poe. I don't know. You can change decks anytime you want in Conquer the Cave, so he could always swap to something different. But I'd like to see how far this Poe can go. I want to see what other people can bring to it. We're gonna get that one scheduled and to you as soon as we can. Now I'm back from Korea, so and I'm back from like being sick the week after I got back from Korea, so I'm finally able to start doing some content, focusing on Star Wars Unlimited again, and it's been great, fun way to jump back into Conquer the Cave. But thank you for jumping in and casting this week. Did you have a good time? How was your first casting experience?
Yeah, no, that was a lot of fun. Thanks for having me. Got to watch a great game between 2 great players, and it was exciting. And even getting used to these castings. Sometimes when I play the game, I don't get to watch all the different kinds of decks like that Poe ECL line. I had never thought about that prior to that, and I was like, man, stuff like that is fun to watch, see what the
Mm-hmm.
other players come up with, and get to experience it in their time in their game.
I feel like that's you're tasting a little bit of something I call the caster curse, which is when you get to like watch all these people pilot these decks extremely well. You're like, oh man, like that looks so fun, and like that looks so fun. Like then you can't decide what you yourself want to play. So it's welcome to that nightmare, But it's a nice nightmare to be in. But any
Right.
final thoughts before we close this one out?
No, just great match. I look forward to see if if I forgot his name.
Joe,
If the
it's Joe. It's
Joe.
almost Poe. It's one letter off. Joe Dameron. We'll
Oh,
just
got
say.
it. Well, it'll be interesting to see if Joe Dameron stays on Poe and keeps conquering the cave with that deck. That'd be exciting.
We'll find out. Well, thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time on Conquer the Cave. Take care.